Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha. Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trambake Devi Narayani Namostute. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita. Namaste Say Namaste Say Namaste Say Namo Namaha. Om Trambakam Jamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha, Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 15th of June 2026. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan, Paramatma, residing in the heart of every single being. We are continuing to examine verse number 47 of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 2, verse number 47. And the words of the verse are as follows. Karmani eva adhikaraha te ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetuhu bhuhu ma te sangaha astu akarmani. These are the words of this verse. This is perhaps the most famous verse that has ever been studied and applied in the entire history of the Sanatana Dharma. It is one of the most extraordinary teachings that has ever been given to humanity, and the more we contemplate on it, to that extent we will be able to unlock the mysteries of the verse. Now, I have shared with everyone the background research on this. It's a 210-page document, and it has been edited, etc. So that is available as a PDF, and you can, certainly study that, go through that, ask questions about it. I'll be using that as a base to, for my commentary also. So this verse, of course, has considerable contemplative power, meaning that we can contemplate a lot on this. We were looking at just the very first couple of words last several days. And, when we think of the word adhikar, karmani eva adhikaraha, adhikar means the rightful sphere of agency. Agency meaning my free will that is being used for activity, that is called agency. And we have free will, we have our volition, my desires, my decisions in life. So that is the sphere, the rightful sphere of my own free will and activity. That is called adhikara. So adhikara does not simply mean entitlement. Mera adhikar hai, this should happen, that should happen, that should happen. That's not really the way that word is to be used properly. That I'm entitled to receive this thing. Mera adhikar. This word has been, see again how this word has been used in different ways in the Indian languages. Very interesting. The word actually means the domain within which one is authorized, obligated, and capable of meaningful participation. Several points. Adhikar means that there is authorization, that God has given us, Bhagavan has given us, the purview to act freely. Again, that's a more metaphysical question. Where did free will come from and all that? I don't want to go into that right now. But we will simply assume we have free will for function. And that's our experience. Where it came from and does it really exist or not? Let's not go into that. Those are very tricky questions in philosophy of mind and whatnot. Right? We'll leave that subject aside for the time being. But the fact of practical life is that, we make decisions all the time, do we not? So what Bhagavan Krishna is saying is that we have authority over our action. We're authorized by that supreme intelligence, Paramatma, to perform activity. Yes, adhikara. we are obligated. We have obligations. That's our ethics and morality. So we have obligation, we have ethics, morality, what I ought to be doing. For example, if you're a mother, father, you have a young-born child, you have obligation to take care of that child. Isn't it so? So many aspects of action are there. And then the capacity for meaningful participation. That meaning, the significance, meaning of our action. So whenever we are performing any action, in any sphere, is there some meaning, purpose behind it that brings fulfillment? Right, so adhikar, in another sense, is the responsible authority. Human beings have adhikar in effort. We have adhikar, meaning our responsibility, our attention, our fixation should be on my effort right now. What am I doing right now? Not absolute sovereignty over consequences. We do not actually create the consequences. And the sovereignty meaning that, I am the one who is creating all his consequences. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Those consequences are created by Paramatma. So this entire verse has the complete doctrine, or what is called the Karma Yoga path, is in this entire verse. I'm going to break it down for you. Show it very carefully. It's actually on page 14 of the document that I sent to all of you. I'm looking at it from there, and I'm just sharing my thoughts on this. Please do study this. It's very, very interesting. Think about it a lot and see the application. So this verse may be understood through 4 clauses, meaning like 4 statements, each of which develops one component of the complete teaching or doctrine of Karma Yoga. The chapter 3 is called Karma Yoga, but Karma is discussed throughout the Gita. And what is Karma Yoga? It's the path of disciplined action without the engulfment, attachment, and binding to the fruits. That's a simple way to put it. So what is the first clause? Your right is to action alone. Karmani eva adhikara. Our right is to action alone, which establishes responsibility. It implies that I must be responsible for myself and what I'm doing, thinking, feeling, my activity. I have to be responsible for that. And it also prevents fatalism. Fatalism. What does that mean? Fatalism is this concept that everything is just meaningless. Doesn't matter what you do. I'm not even in control. Just the nature is doing everything. It's all fatal. It's called fatalistic attitude. You find this in life many times. What's the point? There's so many problems, so many difficulties. I cannot do anything. We just degrade ourselves, and then we don't want to do anything. We just say the emotions go down. Life doesn't seem to have any purpose. This is called fatalistic attitude. I hope this point is clear. So this first part of this verse, it establishes responsibility and prevents fatalism. So the person, the individual, all of us, we're told not to surrender to helplessness. How many people are in this world feeling helpless? I cannot do this, I cannot do this, I cannot do this. I just feel overrun, I feel a victim attitude. Isn't it so? This is called helplessness. So rather, Bhagavan Krishna says, act. You don't become attached to inaction. The helplessness and fatalism and feeling that everything is meaningless and I cannot do this and I cannot do that. Yeah, there may be some practical limitations, no doubt. Somebody's handicapped or whatever. Even then you can do a lot. You saw that you cannot do. There's always so much to be done, and this is where the importance of action is there. Remember, action is mental, verbal, physical, 3 kinds. So the individual, meaning all of us, the person is told to act. This is especially important because spiritual teachings are often misread as invitations to passivity. Passivity means just retract. Kuch bhi nahi karna. Kuch mandir mein sadhu ban jao. Na made khava thai gaya baba. This is a very common phrase I used to hear many times. don't have enough food, clothing, things like, put on the orange saffron, particularly in India. People respect the clothing, that is there. Make a beard and go around different places. You get food. You'll get it. People generally will give food to the sadhus. Even places to stay and all that. There's ashrams and things like that. There's a respect for that tradition. Na male khava thai gya baba. This is it's one of those expressions, right? So Bhagavad Gita is saying to stay away from all this kind of thing. This is not a path just to run away from life. Life is not given to us to run away from. Life is given to us to perfect our interaction without entanglement, without getting bound, and to be able to perform actions for benefit of all, at the same time be continuously and completely free from inside, by not binding to the egotistical nature that I am the cause of the fruit of the action. See, this is how it works. So this is especially important because, as we said, spiritual teachings are misread. Bhagwan Krishna, in this verse particularly, removes the misreading of passivity. I don't just retract. No, not at all. Verse 2.47 begins with action, because embodied life demands participation. We have a body, we have senses and legs and hands and head, and so many things are there, right? Our sense organs and all. They are there for action. They're not there for inaction and just to retract from life. No. How can that be so? That is not so. That is not so. So there is the demand to participate in the world, but the technology of remaining free is taught here. Because the participation has to do with ethical responsibility, the quality of one's participation. Right? So this is the first point of responsibility. Now the second clause, the second aspect, the second big teaching here, never to the fruits, don't get attached, establishes non-attachment, freedom from possessive dependence upon results. Understand this point. Freedom from possessive dependence on results. That we perform action, we get certain result. My happiness, my distress, my likes, dislikes, I make it dependent on the result. My happiness is in the action, is in doing the action as thoroughly and as wonderfully as possible. Yes. When the fruit comes, how do we react? I'm happy, or I'm sad, or I'm distressed, I'm this, I'm that. This is the problem. That is why in this verse, that is why akarmani, that the verse actually says, do not become attached to non-action, and also recognize very, very, very clearly, that the fruit of this action, that fruit, you are not the creator of the fruit. That's a very difficult thing to grasp. Very, very difficult. Well, why is it so difficult? Because we are always thinking, I am the creator. See, when Bhagwan Krishna says, Ma phaleshu kadachana, we have no adhikar on the fruit. What do you mean? How can you say that? You see, so this is where this gets very confusing. If a person is studying very hard in a college or in high school or whatever, and they get all A's or A's and B's or whatever the grades are, how can you say they don't have any adhikar on that? Yes, this is their fruit. It is given to them. Well, that's where this gets very interesting. The adhikar here means that one is no longer ensnared by, trapped by, stuck inside the vortex of the experience of the fruit. I hope that makes sense. You have to go very carefully to really unlock this. The non-attachment to the fruit is freedom. It doesn't mean you don't care about the fruit. You're not concerned about the fruit. It's not like who cares attitude. No, not that. Non-attachment means that the mind is not trapped, entangled, and lost inside the experience of the fruit. Fruit meaning result. Fruit, result, consequence. It all means the same thing. If you have questions, please do ask about it. At any point you can interrupt me if you want. Or you can wait until I'm done in 10 minutes. Bahut dhyan rakhna. It's extraordinarily powerful. So what happens here, our anxiety, fear disappears. And our ahankar, arrogance disappears. So the entanglement in the fruit is gone. The fruit, because when the fruit comes to us, there is realization that it is the Parabrahma Paramatma who is the giver of the fruit based on my cumulative actions. And I am not bound inside the fruit, inside the consequence. I'm aware of the consequence. I may have to enjoy it or suffer it or whatever. No doubt. There's all kinds of consequences. Even people might praise, people might blame, this might happen, that might happen. So many things happen because of the consequence. Those are the consequences. But one is not disturbed inside. Because anxiety comes about, anxiety, fear, etc., arises when the person demands certainty that this thing must happen this way. You don't know what's going to happen which way. You do your best, that's all. And leave the rest. Anxiety, fear, agitation, that happens when we demand certainty. And certainty is not possible. It is impossible. We don't know what is 100% going to happen. And arrogance, meaning ahankar, aham bhav, a lot of the arrogant bhav, arises when the person claims total ownership where many causes have participated. For example, if a person gets straight A's in a school, let's use some examples to understand this. You get a lot of praise from others, but the reality is how many people were involved in making that happen? Parents involved, the home environment is involved, a teacher in the teaching and books and all that. So many other teachers and so many hundreds and maybe thousands of people are involved before a person can get all A's. So this, or any grade, it doesn't matter. There's multiple factors and processes involved in bringing that result. And when we recognize that we recognize the power of God. That is the power of Paramatma. So the ahankar doesn't have any place in this. You see? So non-attachment, meaning the vairagyam that comes. This is vairagya. Non-attachment therefore produces humility in success and steadiness in failure. Two things. Success happens, one is humble. Because one is not taking the doership, giving credit to all the factors, which are endless probably, really in reality. That is the Ishvara that is creating the fruit. So the credit is given to Paramatma. And if you give the credit to Bhagavan, to Ishvara, that is then given to all those other people, places, situations, circumstances that are involved in giving us the fruit. We talk about fruits. You go to buy an apple from the Acme store. How many people were involved in bringing that apple to our home? Think about it. We just think, I have this much money, I'm going to buy this bag of apples, $4.99, whatever, $3.99. But hundreds of people, from the apple growers to the transporters, kitne sab log hai? That is Ishvara. Ishvaraha sarvabhutanam ruddhe shrirjuna tishtati, right? Brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrarudani mayaya. How beautiful. So when we recognize, next time we buy fruits at a store, go into the place as it is a mandir. And this what is coming to us is being granted to us, is been given to us by grace, by krupa. So many people are involved. That is gratitude. an attitude of gratitude, right? These are concepts we talk about in our Angel Wing program. So these things are relevant. When we live this way, what happens? We are humble in success and we are steady in failure. Tremendous steadiness. You see, so this does not mean, it does not remove learning from results. On the contrary, we are always learning from results. It removes bondage to the results. That's the difference. We learn from the results, but we don't get bound to the results. This is the second clause, or the second aspect that is setting up the matrix for the law of karma, the doctrine of the law of karma. This is on page 14, but I'm looking at it from there. I'm just giving an exposition. You can look at it. I sent you the document. So the third clause, do not become the cause of the fruit of action. The third teaching here, the third piece. This is key. Not to become the cause of the fruit of action. This is our ego thinks that. This establishes purity of motive. Purity of motive. The motivation to act. I'm using myself as an example just right now, right? Every day we're doing this satsang. All of you are coming online. Others are listening. Whoever is listening, not listening, I don't know. But what is the motive? The motive, I have to see that. I'm just using myself as an example right now. Just talking about this morning satsang. Do not become the cause of the fruit of the action. If Sachin says, I'm doing this, first of all, I am doing, that's a problem. That's not true. It is being done through me. Okay, that's a better way to put it. It is a seva. Humility is needed. Steadiness is necessary. Right? So when Sachin says, I am not the cause of the fruit of the action, like all of you coming every day, I'm sure that is happening by the will of Parameshwari. It's not my will, it's not anybody else's will. वो उनकी कृपा से हो रहा है. That is a vision, right? That's an understanding. So what does that do? It establishes internally, in this mind, in this body, the purity of motive. What is my motive? What is my motive? You see? Motive meaning what? What is purity of motive? It is the alignment of intention with duty, service, truth, and spiritual discipline, rather than egotistical reward. Well, what does that mean? Let's break it down. To align my intention that this is duty performed for the goodness, for the benefit of all, benefit of family, benefit of human beings. It is seva, service. It is truth. It is intention. It is the alignment of intention with truth. What is the truth? Bhagavad Gita is Param Satya. Without any question. That is the intention, alignment of intention with truth and spiritual discipline. So the discipline, day-to-day discipline, day-to-day activity, hour-to-hour activity, it is alignment of my intention with the right discipline to do sadhanas and things like that we're all doing. This is called the establishment of the of purity of motive. This is expression, you can write it down. I put the notes are down. I'm giving you the page number is 14 in the PDF that I sent everyone. Purity of motive. This is all application. Simply writing notes and writing these research articles is just a lot of words unless it comes into our life. If it comes into our life, it has meaning. Otherwise, it's just a lot of words that's just sitting out there. It's okay, but that's all right. But how much is it real? That's the question, right? So purity of motive removes the obsession with egotistic reward. See this point. So a person may do the correct action for the wrong reason. The verse therefore penetrates beyond external behavior into intention. What is my intention? That external behavior could be so many. That's fine. We have behavior, we have actions. What is my intention behind the action? It asks not only what are you doing, but also why are you doing it? What is the intention, the purpose? This is a central question for ethical life and spiritual practice, ethics, morality. This is the third clause, or the third key point in opening the law of karma, or in establishing the doctrine of karma. The fourth clause, not let your attachment be to inaction, establishes active detachment. This is the fourth point. Active detachment. It's in bold. It's in the handout. You can see it there. Active detachment. Active detachment is freedom from results combined and continued commitment to right action. Right. So freedom from results. Freedom from results, meaning what? You're not trapped inside the result. Is combined with continued commitment to the right action. So there's 2 points here. Active detachment means freedom from the result itself. You're not bound to the result. And by not being bound to the result, one continues one's commitment to taking all the right actions further. This is called active detachment. So this is the verse's final safeguard. It's a protection. See, a person may try to avoid disappointment by avoiding action. No, I cannot do this. I don't want to feel disappointed, so I'm not going to go take that action. No, wrong. One may avoid failure by refusing effort. Because I'm not going to act. I don't want to fail, so I'm not going to act. See, one may avoid moral conflict by retreating into neutrality. You cannot avoid life. Verse 2.47 disallows this. The seeker must not cling to action's fruits, but must also not cling to the safety of non-acting. Kuch nahi karna. Wrong. That's a mistake. So these are 4 points. I don't want to bombard too much with too much information. It's more important for all of us to do manan chintan. We heard this right now. This is available in your notes. Now let's get into some conversation about this. I'll hit the pause here. I'll stop the recording and do the closing mantra, and then we can discuss this a little bit. Let's really discuss it. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishi Sarvada Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha Om Rim Svaha.